Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Glory, Glory England. Yes, this is the show where we take England to glory. Yeah. And we invite members from the community and other luminaries from the world of football manager into the game. On the last few shows, we've had Nick Madden, we've had Guido Mary, and on today's show, we're going to be welcoming none other than person who's been at Sports Interactive for a while. His name is Lucas Weatherby. How are you, Lucas?
I'm good, Tar. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks for asking. Now, for those who might not know, you've been with Sports Interactive. I've worked with you behind the scenes. And what for those who haven't heard of you before, could you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do at Sports Interactive?
Yeah, quite a few things actually. I am the QA lead for Football Manager Touch on PC. We also have a separate QA lead for Football Manager Touch on tablet as well. So I look after the PC side of things. I also look after Mac and Linux operating systems testing and technical support on the forums. So some people might recognise me from the tech support forums, most likely. And I also look after Steam related features as well. So anything to do with Steam Workshop or Steam achievements, I test that in house before it goes out there. So
It sounds
yeah,
like you've got a lot of things on your plate.
yes and no. It sounds a lot, but it fits in quite nicely. I mean, there's times when there's not necessarily a lot going on,
Mhm.
and then there's times when obviously it's really busy. So towards when the game's about to be finished and going out, obviously I'm really busy then because I've got quite a few things that I need to be testing at the same time. But that's just the way it is. With some testing, sometimes you can't always get around that. It's what we call crunch periods. So yeah, you just get through it.
So how?
I quite enjoy being busy anyway. So
Oh, that's
it
that.
suits
Yeah,
me down to a T.
I mean, yeah, keeping ourselves occupied can be a lot of fun. I mean, I know you're keeping yourself occupied. You've got a fan behind you, don't you? You've got an extra
Yeah,
member watching the show.
yeah, I have. Yeah, I've got my parrot with me, who's cheering me on in the background.
I just heard your parrot whistle. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, now one of the things people always ask me is like, okay, whenever they're starting the game, they go like, which mode of FM should I play? Should I play the full featured mode or should I play FM Touch? And I usually send them in the direction of FM Touch. What do you think of FM Touch as a way to pick up the game the first time around?
I think if anyone's ever struggling with their tactics, then they should experiment and FM touch first. Um, I'm sorry, my parrot just said what. Um, so yeah, I basically just advise anyone to, if they're struggling to play FM Touch, because you don't have, say, tactical familiarity in FM Touch. You can
Mhm.
chop and change your tactics at will. So it's a good experimenting playground. It's a good sandbox for testing things out.
What about the training side?
Outside of FM.
What about the training side in FM Touch? I mean, how would that be different from the full version of the game?
It's actually mostly the same. The only difference is would be you can't pick who tutors who. The AI does that for you in the background. So at the start of every season, if there's a player that needs tutoring, then that would just kind of happen under the hood. And if uh, if that's successful, you'll find out. If it's not successful, you wouldn't know it happened.
So is that the
Um,
same model that the full version uses for the AI manager in the background? I mean, that I would assume that the AI manager would decide on who to tutor. Would it follow the same model that you see in FM Touch then?
Roughly, yes. FM Touch does have a couple of things simplified. For example, you don't have like in FM, you've got like a full coaching staff.
Hmm.
So you've got your goalkeeper coaches, your fitness coaches, and stuff. In FM Touch, you only have your assistant manager. So it's simplified in that way, in the sense that it looks at your training facilities, it looks at your club reputation, and then develops your players based off that,
Mm-hmm.
rather than your individual coaching attributes, as it were, at your staff at your club, because you've only got like one member of staff, so the rest are all kind of simulated under the hood in FM Touch, and it's similar in that sense to scouting in FM Touch as well. That works in a similar kind of way.
So you've heard it here, everyone. Okay, the best way for you to pick up the game if you have never played this game before is to start with FM Touch. Now, I always like to ask this question of people, right? When I bring them on the show, which club do you support in real life in football?
I support Port Vale.
Oh, sweet! And have you been going down to a lot of the games lately?
No, because I live and work in London. We're obviously Sports Interactive. That's where we're based. Port Vale are based in Stoke-on-Trent, which is obviously Stoke City are the main team in the town. That's about 150, 200 miles away. So it's a bit too far away for me to ever really get to any games. And my parents no longer live in Stoke-on-Trent either, so it's not really an opportunity that's come up. I'm more likely to get to away games. It's been a couple of years since I've been able to go there, so I mean, I'm always keeping in touch with what's going on, fan forums and things like that. So it's just one of those things. If I was able to, watch the games online, I obviously would. I think the last time I actually saw a game was probably in the pub when we played Bradford on Sky, and that was a couple of seasons ago as well. That was really cool. But yeah, they don't show enough football league games on TV.
So now I'm sure that when you go down to the pub and your friends find out you're working with Sports Interactive, do they, with the transfer window coming right now in the English Premier League, do they ask you for your opinion? Because you've been working with the game, you're familiar with the player databases, you're familiar with all these players. Do you feel the need? I mean, does it ever come up, the conversation of what kind of a player he is? Is that not, like, for example, right now Virgil van Dijk might be heading over to Liverpool. I doubt if that's going to happen. But do people ask you stuff like, how do you think of the player?
Normally people are just kind of shocked and taken aback that you're working on Football Manager. Obviously, it's a title everyone's kind of heard of. So normally shock and surprise and like, whoa, that's really cool sort of thing. They don't always ask me for football opinions though. It's only happened a few times. Normally it's just kind of surprised I work on the game.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really actually been asked about my opinions on players. I'm kind of glad though. Because I don't think I'd necessarily be in tune with what everybody else thinks. I mean, this transfer window in particular has just been a bit mental. I just can't get my head around it.
I don't understand. I mean, this is the thing about the transfer window. The values of the players have been shooting up. They're crazy. I mean, it's like inflation doesn't exist in football. But, there's so much money going around in the English league, for example. Now, does this mean, I mean, this is going to be a straightforward question. If let's say player transfer fees go up to 200 to 230 or maybe even 240 million, would there be a big pressure on the game developers to include that? Because if you look at the transfer value for players, there's a cap. As in, you can only choose 200 million. But of course, with add-ons and other stuff, you can actually get the value to go up to like 240 to 250 if you try. But would it be a very difficult thing to change in the game?
No, I don't think it would be. I mean, I'm not one of the. I mean, I test the game. I'm not one of the developers. One of the people actually coding it behind it. But we've always adjusted the game each year in terms of tactics and transfers modules to try and make it more realistic. I mean, you can go back and load an old FM if you want, and you can have a look at player values and see what you can buy them for, and it's roughly in line with what big transfer fees were then, and that would be reflected now as well. So it does and would change. and we have made changes, in previous versions to try and make things a bit more realistic, with regards to some teams and players. I think I remember a case there was with quite a few English players, quite a few players coming into England, for example. I think one of them was Kiri to Stoke, I think it was.
Okay.
He was very, his reputation was actually quite high, and Stokes at the time for the database before was actually quite low. So, you realise that when you move players along and you play with it and tweak it, and you realise, okay, we need to adjust this here and there so this player doesn't actually, become unhappy or leave straight away, sort of thing. So things change in terms of money that comes in and how that affects the game. So as we update the game with data and new things that come in, we're constantly readjusting things to keep it realistic. So yeah.
Okay. Now, are there any, if from a personal point of view, is there any feature that you particularly enjoyed in FM17 that was introduced in FM17?
When you've been working on the game for about 7 years, all the features kind of blur into one. So I might actually sort of like bring up a feature that I really enjoyed that could have been in for a couple of years already. But no, the new features don't necessarily, like, for me, I'm quite old school. I started playing FM going back to Campman 2 days. I was kind of, content with just season updates and data updates. So new features were always just kind of like a bonus to me. I always have to play with the new data. So for me, I'm always just keen to play with the latest player squads, for each season. When it comes to this time of the year, and trying to play FM17, I just can't really play with an old database.
Okay.
I can't play with an updated database either because then the game date is out of date.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of, it's just one of those weird things of how I like to play the game. So I'm very much looking forward to the new game because it'll be new data and it'll be up to date. And that's mainly what keeps me going in terms of playing FM, just having the latest data and player attributes being updated. When a player's had like a really good season and then the following year they get like quite a nice boost, that's always good. Happened with Rashford a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
a year or two ago. So it's good to kind of see that in the game as well.
So okay, now what are the things that, if there was one feature in FM17 that you personally would have loved to see improved for FM18, what would that be? Or you can't, if you can't answer the question, don't.
Well, I could always say what feature I would like to see improved, whether it's going to be improved or not.
Okay.
I would always want to see the tactics and match ending. For me, that's always been the main kind of meat of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Adjusting your tactics and seeing that play out. So whether that means in the match engine that it looks more realistic or it just looks more detailed, or whether there's more options to sort of play around with.
Okay.
Those are the kinds of things that I get excited for in terms of new features, because it's an extra add-on. And in terms of Football Manager Touch, we call that the tactics and transfers versions of Football Manager. So just that's what its focus is.
Mm-hmm.
So to get that even more in depth is something I'm always kind of excited for.
Okay. Now, this next question is going to be about, I mean, from a personal point of view, right? If you wanted to go in, if there was a competition right now in the office, do you have any personal competitions that you have with your friends when it comes to Football Manager? Do you have any?
Competitions.
Yeah. Do you have like network games? Do you guys in the office have?
I'm
Like,
actually I'm in the on our forums, the Sports Interactive forums. There is the OTF network OTF network game clan. There's like 6 or 7 of us that do a network game. So I think it was Higgs that was the host at the start of the season. It's now Jambo. He hosts it now. We did like the English leagues for quite a while. I started off with Bournemouth at the start of the season, and I started off really well. My first signing was David Ospina for Bournemouth. He actually scored on his debut, and then the game crashed right after the first game. And
so it happens to you too.
My managerial career never recovered after the game crashing and replaying that first match. And I was sacked from Bournemouth about 6 months in. And then I rejoined it a couple of months ago, and I was the Everton manager. And I had probably one of the best players, like new gens, that came through in the game. His name was Ellis Crossley, and he was amazing. But the guys who are in the kind of all very well established with their teams, and they were winning the league and stuff. And they basically bullied me into selling him, and I just kind of lost all love for it after that. I sold him for about 60 million.
Okay.
And yeah, so and then by that point, the hold on. Sorry, the parrot's dropping things. So yeah, so basically after that point, the game had been going on for about 7 seasons. So most of the guys kind of got fed up with it. I wasn't really getting anywhere. I actually got Everton relegated in the end, so that was the end of it for me. And then we restarted it up as a Italy Serie A game, and I started off as Inter manager, and that's where I'm at the moment. So that's just a little game I've got going, and that's what we're doing. So
that's cool. All right, now we as you know, you're going to be managing England for our match against Slovakia. You're the manager, I'm your assistant manager. And as a prelude to this game, we actually had to do squad selection. So I sent you the file and you went through the squad. And I noticed there's a fair few changes in this squad. You've dropped a few players and you've brought in a few players. Can you explain your rationale? Because I'm going to show the tactic as well, because I think it plays hand in hand together with what you're planning to do.
Yeah, okay. So basically, I basically had like a first 11 and a formation in mind. So I basically set up with 2 wing backs, an Anchorman, 2 central midfielders, and then a player in the hole behind 2 strikers. So I kind of set out my team to set up behind that. So all the players that are 11 plus, they're all backup players. So that's why you'll see some really strange picks, like Lee Catamol, for example. He's literally in there in case either Henderson or Dier get injured during the match, and I need to sort of throw him on to kind of stop the game in the midfield.
Okay.
Purely tactical base, why I would have picked some other players in the squad. So yeah, that's why. Why did I drop Walker and Klein? Well, I wanted a more attacking player on the right-hand side of my wing backs.
Okay, so.
And also I wanted another attacking threat to my team. He does have a long bullet throw, so that was one advantage that I wanted to try and utilize from a set piece if I got one.
Okay.
So
let's run through your players, because I kind of went and hit quick pick by mistake. So let's look at your defenders. Who are you going to be defenders? Central defenders.
I've gone for Stones and Keane in central defence to start with.
All right, and then who's your anchorman? And why did you choose an anchorman? And what's the benefits of playing an anchorman as opposed to playing a DLP or even a DM?
I guess because he was sit in front of the defence. rather than join them and then they spread out wide. So the wing back should still cover that flank anyway.
Okay.
I didn't really want him dropping. I did think about using a halfback even, but I didn't want the centre defender to spread too wide, and then the centre one of the pair would be too exposed, to inside forwards and just being overwhelmed basically. So
Okay.
that's why I've used that.
Makes sense. All right. And your anchorman for this game will be?
Out there, I'm going to have him in the anchorman position.
And the wingback on the left?
I'm going to go for Cresswell.
Okay. And on the right?
I'm going to go for Antonio.
Antonio. Let me find Antonio. Mikel Antonio. Okay. All right. And you're playing, actually, I mean, I do this a lot, but you're playing a player that's been identified as a midfielder in the game, right? And you're asking him to play as a wingback. But if he has the attributes, he can just do his job, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just he's starting from a more defensive position. He is going to have to defend a bit more. But I have put him as a complete wingback, so he won't have too many defensive duties. It just means that he's just going to have a bit more freedom, and the shape won't be too disjointed if I just stuck him. It's kind of like an asymmetric. Just stuck him out as a winger. So I just kept it like that, just so the formation looks neat, the shape's there. And if it doesn't work out during the game, I can send him off and just change up the formation a bit, if need be. But I use this formation with my Inter team on the network game, and it's working okay. So I've got faith that it's going to do all right.
All right. And what about your two central midfielders? Who have you gone for?
I'm going to go for Henderson as the sitting midfielder, the central defender in defence, and then I'm going to go for Dele Alli as the box-to-box midfielder.
Okay. And who's up front as the playmaker? What about your three players up front?
I'm going to go for Lallana in behind Harry Kane on the right, who's going to be the more supportive of the two strikers, with Jermaine Defoe actually as the advanced forward.
Jermaine Defoe makes a comeback to the English squad. Okay. In the year 2016. Yeah. That's cool. Let's now talk about this is actually Guido Mary's tactic, right? Slightly. Have you done any slight changes to the system?
I think I went on to team instructions and I changed one thing, and that was dribble less. I made the team run with the ball if they get it.
So it's got run it.
Literally the only change. So it is very similar. And as I said before the show, it's completely by chance. I approached this with a team in mind, a tactic in mind, and it just so happened that Guido had similar kind of ideas. So,
okay. Cool. So we're going with standard and very fluid as the mentality will be standard and your shape is very fluid. So how do you see your transitions playing out in this game?
Hopefully it will play out quite nicely. With the midfielders supporting the attacking players a bit more. Hopefully Dele Alli can get forward and take some shots outside the box. And yeah, I've got my centre backs as ball playing defenders as well, so they should help bring the ball forward and get the ball out from the back as well. So I'm kind of hoping for everyone to contribute in some way or form.
So the wing backs have no PIs on them. The complete wing backs have no PIs on them. We've only got PIs on the two central midfielders, and you've got a PI on play instructions on Lallana to tackle harder, move into channels, holds up the ball, and nothing up front as well. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, this looks interesting. So okay, now I'm gonna put you into. Hang on a minute. I'm looking for my crystal ball, but I don't have it on me, and I'm not wearing my turban, so I can't go all Indian mystical on you too. So what scoreline, what kind of a result should we be expecting? Because let's put things in perspective for this game. This is the World Cup qualifiers. This is the situation for England at the moment. We are in Group 6. Scotland have had 3 wins out of 3. They've beaten Lithuania. They've beaten Slovakia. They've beaten Slovenia. Slovakia is second on the table with 2 4-0 wins away to Malta and Lithuania. And England, well, we've only had 1 win so far against Malta. We've had 2 draws. It looks like Scotland are pulling away unless we do something very soon. And what are you hoping for in this next game? I mean, naturally you're hoping for a win, but are you have you done anything apart from that? Have you done any match preparation? What would you ideally do before the match now to prepare for this game against Slovakia?
I would just dive straight in myself. I don't tend to overthink things. I just dive straight in. So, you know, sink or swim. I think we should win this. I am a little bit wary that the front 3 might pose a bit of a threat.
Okay.
You know, if my win backs are too committed going forward, then I would be exposed at the back with just 2 players there. And what's really key is that the midfield control the game as well. I'm hoping for a couple of goals.
Because Slovakia lined up like this for their last few matches. They played a 4-3-3. They have a strong. They have a few decent players in their squad. I mean, the most famous player probably is going to be Marek Hamsik. And then we've got Skirtle, who's still playing for Slovakia. And I'm looking forward to this game. And do we have any last words before we wrap things up?
No, sounds good.
Okay, all right. So here we are. We all set up for our next match against in the World Cup European qualifying section. It'll be a game against Slovakia. I want to thank Lucas Weatherby for being on the show today, and I want to thank all of you for taking the time out to watch the show. I hope some ideas popped into your head as well. I'm looking forward to FM Touch for FM 18, and we'll probably be talking more about the game in the next show. And please join us for the next show. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for the continued support of this channel. You guys make this kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. Take care, and I'll catch up with you soon.